Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 788. Now, in today's episode, we are talking about ultimately enforcing your boundaries for your emotional happiness. Now, what do I mean by that? Here's a sentence I want you to remember. That if you don't enforce your boundaries, someone else will. No matter what, where it be society, where it be your neighbor, where it be your family, your partner, your boss, your co-worker, all of those things, they will put you in a place and it will cause you to feel pretty bad. Now, first of all, what is a boundary? Well, it's pretty much like a value, right? It's a value that you can pin yourself in. That boundary, well, it's going to be what you value. The values are for you, values for what is important to you. And when you think about that and go deeper to it, it's going to be based around your esteem. You see, if you have low self-esteem, if you're, say, a people pleaser, if you feel like you're an imposter, you feel worried or you're doubtful, you wake up with every day with dread, it will cause you to not act the way that you want, and then other people will see that and then start to make you do more of the same. You see, people pleasing will cause you to go, well, I've got to do this because I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to get hurt. And then the more you start to people please, let's say at work, you're trying to do all these things so you don't get found out and you don't get rejected and you don't fail. Now, suddenly that's the new benchmark. So originally you've almost set that boundary, but now other people are enforcing that boundary around you. So if you don't set clear today, define today what your boundary is going to be, like who you are going to be in this world, how you want to act, how you want to react, what kind of goals and dreams do you have. If you don't get clear on what you want, who you are, and where you're heading, other people will do it for you. It's just the way it is. If you're in a relationship, once again, that low self-esteem, you don't feel good enough, you don't think capable, or you don't feel like you're capable, then suddenly that relationship dynamic changes. You've chosen to put a boundary of, you could say like a kind of a flaky boundary because we're not that confident or certain in ourselves, that it will then allow that person in a relationship to either trap us, or if it's a healthy relationship, it'll be putting too much emphasis on what they've got to do. Now suddenly it's an uneven relationship. So we could apply this to every scenario, every area of your life, from your health to your relationships to your career, your finances, your abundance. If you don't define today your boundaries, like if we don't wake up and go, actually, this is wrong, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to wake up from the sedation of playing small and actually put up a new boundary, to go beyond your boundary. And it's going to be a bit tricky in the beginning, right? You may be fearful, you may be worried, you may be doubtful. It's going to happen. That resistance, because you've built up that boundary, is so big, 10 feet high by 10 feet wide. It's going to take a while to climb it. It's going to take a while to break through it. But it's okay, because it's not fixed in place. So consider, if it's a work situation and you feel like you're a people pleaser, or you fear the failure, you fear the rejection, you fear the success, you fear of what people think of you, and you feel like you're going to get found out, that's one version of you right now. Let's call that 1.0. Well, what's the 2.0 version of you? See, in my program, we kind of go into that, like, there's where you presently are, and there's where I want to be. Well, in order to be able to go and grow beyond that boundary, you've got to state the terms and conditions of how you want your life to be. In fact, once again, in my program, we have a mission statement. And that mission statement goes, well, this is how I'm going to live my life. Even if we don't believe it yet, even if we don't feel it yet, because people in my program do not feel it. That's the whole point of being in the program, to let go of the imposter syndrome, to be able to break through that issue. And then, once we then break through it, it becomes easier. But in order to break through it, you need to know where you are in terms of your boundaries, how they're being enforced by other people, and make a decision that this present way is not supporting me, it's not allowing me to grow, it's impacting my health, my relationship, my career, my finances, the opportunities to grow in any endeavor, to hit that goal or dream. And like I said, it could be in any scenario, but usually, here's the other thing actually. What we do in one thing, we tend to do in everything. That is why it's important to solve the root cause, because that one thing usually changes everything. So if I don't believe I'm good enough, it's easy to feel anxious, worried, fearful, guilt, hurt, frustrated, self-sabotage. But if you were to flip that around and know that you were good enough, and suddenly you don't have anxiety. What you're doing, that one thing now, being good enough, now creates confidence, self-certainty, excitement. It allows you to feel good in every single moment. It allows you to go for the dreams, even if right now you don't believe that's possible. Know in your mind that you won't believe it's possible because you've been living this way for a long time. I'm going to guess your boundaries have been enforced by other people and the events that you went through. We've gone through traumatic events in the past. People have said things to us, and it has hurt us. Maybe we've had high expectations from our parents, which made us become a perfectionist, and therefore people-pleasing. Therefore, if I don't do it really well, I'm going to feel bad, I know I'm going to fail, or I'm going to feel like a failure. The loop increases itself. It gets more embedded. So that data causes the boundary that you think is acceptable, right? But also at the same time, because we're interacting with the world around us, that a self-initial boundary will be enforced by other people, right? The bosses, the relationship, those toxic ones, you know the ones I'm talking about. It will allow those people to go, do you know what? John's boundaries are pretty small. I can take advantage. John, go ahead and can you take this piece of work off my desk, please? Or that relationship, well, this person is easy to manipulate because I can see their boundaries are very small and I can take advantage of those. You decide ultimately. And if not, other people will decide for you. And I don't believe that's the way to live life. If you are being told how to be, if you're being controlled in what you do, and therefore people telling you, but who are you to go for that goal and dream, they're enforcing your boundary. They're just reaffirming what is not possible. Now, sometimes if we go a little bit deeper with this, maybe they're enforcing your or their boundaries based on their expectations and limitations, right? So sometimes it's not about you being weak and therefore shrinking down those boundaries. Sometimes people are enforcing their projection of what is possible and therefore go, look, who are you to go ahead and get that goal and dream? You're going to fail. You know what it's like in this economy? Do you know what's happening right now? Who are you to think that you can actually do what you want for a living? Who are you to get that promotion? So sometimes that negative limiting belief by that other or by that company or that society will then reinforce that, oh my goodness, that's why I'm not enough. That's why I dread every single day. That's why I feel stress in my physical body. You see, with people I work with, it's not just psychological. It's not just outcome based on getting that promotion or not, or having that healthy relationship or not. It goes down to the physical side. Stress. You see, if you have those limited boundaries, and therefore you have anxiety, therefore that inner critic goes, look, you're silly, you can't do this. You're a loser. Now suddenly that physical stress breaks the chain of good health. I'm going to wake up tired because I didn't sleep very deeply, because I struggled to go to sleep, and therefore I've got to push myself throughout the day to just cope, just to manage. And I don't believe that any one of you listening to this has to manage your day, has to manage your anxiety, has to manage your worries and doubts and all those things. That, to me, is not the way to live. So make a decision today. If you've got a pen and paper, go ahead and do this. Number 1, consider your present boundaries. What, and this may push up against your boundary right here, and it's on purpose, what are you allowing to happen in your life? Now, don't hate me on that. What are you allowing to happen in your life? And I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm saying this because if I'm allowing something or a person to define this situation, I then have the ability to not allow it. If you say, that person, that external situation is beyond my control, that is disempowering. That is where we'll always feel stuck. That's where we'll feel like there's no sense of hope there. But if we change it around in our language, in a way that we see this and consider, look, what am I allowing in my life right now? What is displeasing to me that in some way, I'm not saying it's like you're 100% your fault, but what am I participating in that I am allowing? So receive that from love, right? That's what I'm trying to do here. I don't want you to be disillusional and go, well, the world is making me this way, I'm going to stay a victim forever. Because I don't believe that. I believe you can be the victor of your life. I believe if you have a goal, you have a dream, you have the potentiality to do the work, you can break free of this. And to me, that's inspiring. That's where innovation happens. When it's so stressful that you actually go, no, I'm going to do something different today. But to be clear, to know where you are to where you want to be, notice what you are allowing to happen into your life. What boundaries are you allowing to happen and be formulated around you? That's the first step. Because when you know what you're allowing, you can then start to disallow it. So once you've considered that, what is the narrative? What is the story that we've created in the past or curated in the past that has become a way of being, that I expect this to be the case? I expect to fail. I expect to feel not good enough because of this. Because like I said, it's all the data of the past, all those significant emotional events which caused decisions, caused beliefs, caused these stories, caused the allowing of the continued stress of not feeling good enough, or feeling anxious, or worried, or self-sabotage. So draw a line in the sand today and go, okay, this is what I've been presently allowing, which is displeasing to me. Number 1. Now, number 2. What would you like to enforce instead? Even if you couldn't believe it to be true, even if it's beyond your wildest imagination of feeling good enough, because I know many people feel like they're stuck and they're broken and they'll always be the way like this. You have to start to go ahead and write that new story because you are the screenwriter of your life. In fact, I did a hypnosis session and it was called The Movie Star of Your Life, where you're the script writer, you're the director, you're the actor, as in like the lead role, you're the producer. That's the mentality we should be having. But you've got to get clear on what's happening that is displeasing and that you're allowing in a loving way. Remember that. And also the opposite. What story do you want to write today? If you could create an alternative narrative where you go into situations and go, do you know what? Today is a day I don't people please. In fact, I am firm in my being that I say no, that I go, actually, it's better for you to do this. Because you know that that value has crossed the line. Same thing for relationships. Same thing with money. Maybe you've been having this boundary around money that goes, look, it's too scarce, or I can't charge what I'm worth, or I can't get the customers, I can't get that promotion. Don't allow that boundary to limit you. You are boundless if you choose. But write down what is getting in the way, the resistance and the allowance, and then write the new story. Write the new way of being that will cause you to go, I know where I am, and I know where I want to be, the 1.0 version of us to the 2.0. And now we have a clear point A and point B to work to. Now, of course, getting there can be a little bit tricky at times, but the first step is to wake up. The first step is to have conscious awareness that you refuse to have pain in your life when it comes to anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, dread. And I know what it's like to be there. I used to wake up every single day with the knot in my stomach, the feeling of dread. I've been there. But once I started to wake up and go, do you know what? There must be another way. Even if I don't know how, I've got to define where I am. I've got to define where I want to be. And then start to figure out the steps. Now, here's the interesting thing. Even in my program, I even say, forget about the how. Number one, know what you want. Number two, find all the reasons as to why it's important to change. Otherwise, you're going to find more reasons to stay the same unconsciously. So you need leverage. And then start to work on that belief system, which we do in the program, to get you to know that you're worthy, deserving enough. Then the how happens by itself. So you consider, why is it important, what you want, and who you're going to be, the new story. And then the how will appear. Or if it's in my program, we do the how. But it will come into fruition. You'll feel as if you'll resonate with this new direction. But the moral of this story is, we choose to allow things in our life based on the boundaries that we have. Because if we don't have them, other people will enforce them, and that in itself is a statement of allowance. So don't participate in that old story. Participate in something good. You see, I believe, and I'm going to go out there, I believe that you are love. I believe that you're worthy beyond measure. I believe you're deserving and immensely valuable. I know that to be true. Even if you disagree, do not believe that. But I see it time and time again as we let go of these issues, and people have these epiphanies and wake-ups and go, do you know what, Joseph, I now see I am worthy. But it all started with that decision to assume responsibility of your boundaries and never, ever let someone manipulate your own boundaries. Now, you can have disagreements. You can come up with alternatives. I'm not saying like, oh, therefore I got to quit this relationship. But you have to negotiate sometimes. So you got to have a healthy set of boundaries. And therefore, you will begin to transform your life in every single way. And of course, as always, if you ever need my help, if you ever feel like, look, Joseph, I want to work with you directly, and you're invested and you're ready, you're a professional, you want to make that change in your life, like I said, to know you're worthy, deserving enough, and let go of the dread, let go of the anxiety, let go of the self-sabotaging experience, you can go to josephclough.info/talk. Now, when you go to josephclough.info/talk, you'll see a calendar there. And on that calendar, you'll be able to book a time, then you'll fill out an application, and then we'll get clear. It's a one-to-one call with us on Zoom. We'll get clear on exactly what you want to let go of, exactly what you want. Figure out what's getting in the way, and then come up with a plan to make it an absolute reality. So once again, that's josephclough.info/talk. And of course, as always, if you would ever like to review the app, like all this free work on the app, we're working on some crazy cool updates and bug fixes right now. You can go to review the app at josephclough.info/review, and it'll take you to the relevant app store and tell you how to make a review. All we're doing here, it just means that you're supporting my mission and helping more people. So allow me to do more free work, because the more reviews we get, the more people use the app, and therefore we can reinvest within the app and do more kind of bug fixes and all those types of things. And I've got some crazy cool ideas I want to implement so we can make the world a better place. So that's josephclough.info/review. Now with that, I hope you have the most wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye.